He was also running the field office in Michigan, where many of the defendants were let go after they were accused of attempting to kidnap the governor, because the vast majority of them were undercover FBI confidential informants.
It's not just as simple as saying, okay, hey, go and find these documents, we'll declassify them and release them tomorrow. As you can imagine, the more we dig, the more we find.
It was 1 in 10,000 children with autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31.
Crazy.
That's a horrible statistic, isn't it?
Senator Mark Kelly, a Democrat from Arizona, got obliterated today by Joe Kent, who was sitting for his confirmation hearings. And what's so interesting about this clip is that Mark Kelly apparently knows nothing about January 6th or about all the confidential human sources that were there undercover at the scene. In fact, during the Proud Boys trial that we covered here at length, their defense team identified as many as 50 people who were government adjacent during the trial of 5 Proud Boys. So almost 10 times as many people were there as there were criminal sedition conspirators who were being charged by the government. We've known this has existed for a long time. We want the records. At some point, Joe Kent is hopefully going to help us get them. But here's Mark Kelly getting embarrassed by Joe.
This concerns January 6th. Do you believe that the violence on January 6th was intentionally organized or directed?
Still under investigation. We're looking into whether elements of the government could have enhanced the criminal acuity of some of the rioters that day.
So you've said on Twitter that the FBI and the intelligence community were involved in planning and directing the riot. Is that correct?
Sounds like something I said, yeah.
What evidence do you have for that claim?
So we've already identified that there were multiple confidential human informants ran by the FBI and other law enforcement agencies that were present in the crowd that day, directing, removing barriers, those types of things. This has been investigated widely. We're continuing to look into it. I would say the FBI and other elements of the law enforcement apparatus attempted to suppress the fact that there was undercover confidential human informants that were part of these different groups. We also had intelligence leading up to January 6th that there was going to be violence that day. So that speaks to some degree of intelligence infiltration into some of these groups and organizations.
Who within the FBI?
We're looking into that right now.
Which departments of the FBI?
Probably the Washington field office.
So you believe the Washington field office was involved in the planning of the violence in the building next door on January 6th?
Yep.
It's being looked into. I mean, look, we had...
And who is looking into it?
We are in the intelligence community. Yeah, we're looking into it right now.
And do you believe that the IC conducts actions of this nature against Americans?
100%. Does the IC, both the FBI and other law enforcement agencies, entrapping individuals? If you look at who was running the Washington field office during January 6th, it was Stephen D'Antuono. He was also running the field office in Michigan, where many of the defendants were let go after they were accused of attempting to kidnap the governor, because the vast majority of them were undercover FBI confidential informants. So unfortunately, this behavior does happen by members of law enforcement and the intelligence community, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we are transparent with the American people.
Mr. Kent, would you be willing to share this evidence of this investigation with this committee?
I look forward to it, Senator.
Yeah, maybe you should actually read it there, Mark. A lot of this has been known for a long time, and Mark Kelly sounds like he's never even heard of it. Are you saying the FBI may have been involved in planning some of it? What? They brought him out there. They were communicating with them, bringing them to D.C., facilitating their trips to D.C. Mark, senator from Arizona. Embarrassing. Now, we also had more. Tulsi Gabbard was out saying, we've got more evidence of more government corruption. Okay, we talked about hacked machines and more. Here's Tulsi explaining, we're looking into that too.
We're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Nice update from Tulsi, because we do have concerns about a lot of that. But she was also on with Sean Hannity, and Sean was asking her about the files, the documents. Where are the Epstein files? Where are the RFK Jr.? Where are the MLK files? Lots of files we'd like to get our hands on. And there's a lot of other materials we'd like to get our hands on, like the assassination attempts and much more. Where are they?
Thank you, Sean. It's good to be here on your show and really featuring the work that we're doing here at the Office of Director of National Intelligence. You know, the American people's trust in the intelligence community has been eroded and undermined really for decades. There have been intelligence failures, abuses of power, weaponization and politicization of the intelligence that the community provides. You talked about some of the examples of the things that our team that is made up of some of the most most talented intelligence officers across the community who love our country and who have been so disgusted and betrayed by leaders who have weaponized it to serve their own political or personal interests. You've gone down a list of many of the things that we're doing. I'll mention a few here. First, you're right. It's not just as simple as saying, okay, hey, go and find these documents. We'll declassify them and release them tomorrow. As you can imagine, the more we dig, the more we find. And we see how people are sometimes, in some cases, resistant to providing us with those documents. In other cases, they have been hidden with the hopes that no one would ever find them.
Okay, well, hopefully you find them and release them. Now, someone else who I hope gives us some documents on this situation is RFK Jr., speaking of him, who said, we're going to know by September what is causing this massive autism problem all across America. And I've heard him speak about this before, tracing the date back to 1989, saying that something happened about that time. Something happened with the food, something happened with the technology, something happened with the medicine, or with the preservatives, who knows what, but he traces it back. You can see it almost like as a source date. Autism, 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 boom! Chronic illnesses all over the place, exploded back in the late 1980s. Why is that? RFK Jr. says he's going to get us some answers soon.
We are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31.
Crazy.
That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference than that. So that's
huge.
It. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to, can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great.
Okay, so good news on that. No more shots. We're good on the shots. We'll just have something else we got to do on that one. But it could be a lot of things, right? It could be all the electromagnetic stuff. It could be the air that we're breathing, right? Something's going on. Who knows what it is? Something in the water. Who knows? But we're excited to see what the results are. So lots of information hopefully coming soon from RFK, from Cash, from Dan Bongino, from RFK Jr. I think I said him a couple times already, but you get the point. We're waiting for it. We're going to be here to cover it when it drops.